Nova was scrolling through her phone as she spoke. How much did he leave behind? It was shocking to hear her ask about inheritance so soon after Taylor had just passed away. You know, Dad worked at a pretty good company, right? I bet he saved up a decent amount. Nova's words were flippant, almost casual. Exhausted and tense, having barely slept, I sighed before responding. Taylor's parents are inheriting everything, so what we're getting is $0. But Nova just breezed through the conversation. What? That's such a waste. I wanted to use that inheritance to go to Raymond's concert. Are you serious? Taylor just passed away. Your dad just died. Why would you say something so awful? I can't believe I have a daughter like you. I yelled, overwhelmed by anger. Yet, Nova seemed unfazed. Then I guess I'll stop being your daughter. Bye-bye, fake mom. With that, she strutted off. I had never imagined she could be so devoid of empathy. All I could do was stand there, dumbstruck. Time passed, and one day, my phone vibrated. It was a call from Nova. That's right, today was the airing day. She must have seen it on TV. That's probably why she called in a panic. I understood, but chose to ignore the call. Yet, the ringing didn't stop. After a while, the light on my phone flashed. It seemed she had left a voicemail. I played the message after some time had passed. Immediately, I heard Nova's screaming voice blaring loudly, making me instinctively pull the phone away from my ear. Hey, what's going on? Why are you on TV with Raymond? Answer me. I sighed and deleted the voicemail. I had explained my job to her beforehand. As expected, Nova probably hadn't listened. But I had no obligation to explain. I didn't want anything to do with someone as dreadful as Nova anymore. My name is Ingrid Martin, 43 years old. I live with my husband, Taylor, and my daughter, Nova. Well, Nova isn't my biological daughter. Taylor and I married 3 years ago, and Nova was his daughter from the previous marriage. At that time, my career was taking off, and I was incredibly busy. I was getting by on energy drinks. Without a romantic partner for years. That's when I was introduced to Taylor through an acquaintance. Taylor was kind and sincere. We hit it off and naturally progressed to a serious relationship with marriage in mind. However, there was one problem. Taylor was a widower, having lost his wife, and he had a daughter. Her name is Nova. She was a 17-year-old high school student. I knew he adored Nova because she often came up in our conversations. But this was my first marriage. I was a bit worried about how to interact with a teenage girl. Sensing my concern, Taylor reassured me. She's a good kid. Don't worry. But I was worried if Nova might not accept me. Concerned, I suggested we have dinner together with Nova several times. Nova was quiet and spoke little. Perhaps losing her mom at a sensitive age cast a shadow over her. Considering this, Taylor repeatedly confirmed with Nova if she was okay with him remarrying. Nova had said she was fine with it. Relieved, I continued our relationship and eventually, we got married. But things didn't go smoothly. It seemed my expectations were too naive. Once we started living together, Nova gradually began to show her true colors. After the wedding, the three of us decided to live in a condo. It wasn't a rental, we bought it when we got married. Taylor's in-laws were happy about his remarriage and offered to pay for the condo. Initially, I declined because it felt like too much, but they insisted. Taylor's in-laws were very concerned about him and Nova, and they were thankful for my presence as a stepmother. They repeatedly told me to accept their offer, and I eventually agreed, seeing no reason to refuse. And so, we moved into this brand new condo. Nova was still not very talkative, but I thought we could gradually become closer over time. Luckily, I work from home. I should be able to spend plenty of time with Nova. I understand that losing mom isn't something one can easily get over. But I hoped I could be there for her as much as possible. However, Nova's behavior started to change for the worse. She would only respond with yeah or aha whenever I tried to start a conversation. She was always looking at her phone, never making eye contact with me. Once, I asked her what she was watching, but she only replied, ATB's concert. It seems ATB is a popular boy band among the youth. Nova was especially obsessed with a member named Raymond Thompson, owning a vast collection of his merchandise. Her room was filled with Raymond's goods, leaving no space to walk. I tried to clean up several times. But Nova would get angry and yell, "Don't come in." Confused, I talked to Taylor about it. Taylor answered sadly, "Nova has always been like this. She might seem indifferent, but she doesn't mean any harm." When her mom passed away from an illness, Nova was still in elementary school. She was deeply affected by it. Back then, she found solace in that male idol. And she still does. That's why I want to let her do as she wishes. I see. I thought it was a sad story. Nova never lets go of her phone, always looking at Raymond's pictures or videos. It must be her way of healing herself. But sometimes, I felt she was going too far. She wasn't studying at all, and her grades were terrible. Even so, Taylor said nothing, attributing it to the loss of her mom. I understand Nova's feelings, but I believe it's also important to live a proper life. Wouldn't Nova's late birth mother want the same? Thinking this, one night, Taylor was on a business trip, leaving Nova and me to have dinner together for the first time. I decided to have a talk with Nova today. I wanted to have a conversation and hopefully get her to open up a bit. Gradually, moving from videos to engaging with a real person would be ideal, I thought. I put extra effort into cooking. But Nova, while eating, was glued to her phone watching Raymond's videos. She completely ignored anything I tried to say. Maybe she felt more relaxed without Taylor around. But, honestly, this lack of basic manners is unacceptable. If she continues this way into adulthood, she's going to have problems. I didn't hold back in addressing it. Hey Nova, can we put the phone away during meals? Let's talk. But when Nova looked up, her face was full of anger. What? I'm at a good part right now. Raymond is speaking. Don't you understand? Don't bother me. I was stunned by Nova's outburst. She was watching an ATB concert, and it was a scene where Raymond was speaking. After her tantrum, Nova glared at me, ate her food quickly, and locked herself in her room with her phone. I was shocked. Was it really worth getting so angry over? For the first time, I felt scared of Nova. But this was just the beginning of a nightmare. I couldn't have imagined the shocking events that were about to unfold. One weekday afternoon, my phone rang. It was from the teacher of the high school Nova attends. I paused my work to answer the call. Yes, this is Martin. Excuse me. Nova did what? It was a call to alert me about Nova's behavior. Apparently, she had skipped school to attend Raymond's concert on a weekday. Nova had been absent frequently lately, and the teacher had been suspicious. Just when they decided to inquire about it with me, another teacher spotted Nova in downtown, returning from the concert. When asked about it, she easily admitted to having gone to the concert. I was dizzy with shock. Indeed, Nova had gone to Raymond's concert. But she was only allowed to go on weekends at the end of the month. Skipping school on a weekday was obviously not allowed. Yet, she had lied and skipped school. I apologized profusely to the teacher. This was unforgivable. I had to make it clear. In the evening, Nova came home. "Nova, can we talk?" Nova tried to ignore me with an annoyed look. But I quickly grabbed her arm. "Please listen. This is important." "What?" "Make it quick. Your teacher called today. You skipped class on a weekday to go to a concert. We agreed concerts were only for weekends at the end of the month, right? You need to keep promises and attend your classes properly." Nova clearly didn't like what I was saying. But I couldn't let it end there. "And how did you get the money for the concert?" I had thought she was enjoying Raymond within the limits of her allowance. According to the teacher, she had skipped a lot of days. Where was the money coming from? Nova fell silent with a sullen face. She didn't want to say it, but finally spoke. "I took a little from Dad's wallet." "What? That's stealing." Contrary to my panic, Nova spoke boldly, as if she had justified herself. "That's exaggerating. It's family money. But there's a difference between right and wrong. I have to tell Taylor about this." "Do whatever you want. Dad's soft on me. He'll forgive me because he still sees me as the poor daughter who lost her mom." With that, she laughed, "Ha ha ha. What a child." This behavior couldn't be excused by the grief of losing Mom anymore. I had to get Taylor to talk to her before Nova's behavior got any worse. Just when I thought so, a more shocking situation awaited me. It was sudden. Taylor had passed away. I couldn't believe it. While I was preparing dinner, a call came from Taylor's boss. It appeared to be a heart attack. He collapsed while out and never woke up again. I was stunned by the news. I rushed to the hospital and spoke with Taylor's boss, who was waiting there. Afterward, I contacted Taylor's relatives and had multiple discussions. By the time the wake was over after a few days of meetings with the funeral home, I was completely exhausted. I had been desperate in dealing with everything, but once it all ended, I felt utterly drained, as if my soul had left me. Our marriage had lasted only a few years. The memories with Taylor were far too few. I stared at his portrait. Remembering the time we met, I cried quietly when Nova came in, carefree. Nova showed no signs of mourning. During the funeral, she was engrossed in her mobile phone, looking at Raymond. I was too exhausted to admonish her. But thanks to the relatives who conveniently interpreted. "Poor thing, losing her mom and now her dad. She must be using her phone to escape the sadness." She avoided any criticism. Nova sat down and started playing with her mobile phone. Then, as if remembering something, she said, "Oh, by the way, how much did he leave behind?" Is this the time to ask such a thing? You know Dad worked at a pretty good company, right? I bet he saved up a decent amount. Nova spoke lightly. Exhausted and stressed, having barely slept, I sighed and said, "Taylor's parents are inheriting everything, so what we're getting is $0. The inheritance had already been discussed with the in-laws after Taylor passed. Taylor's company was publicly traded, but he wasn't a high earner. There wasn't much in terms of savings. As Taylor's wife and Nova, his daughter, we had the right to inherit. But the in-laws had been feeling unwell lately and expressed concerns about their future. After discussions, considering they had contributed to the condo's purchase, we decided the real estate would go to me and Nova, and the money would go to the in-laws. Hearing this, Nova sulked. "What? We could have gotten an inheritance, but you gave it all to Grandpa and Grandma? What a waste!" Grandpa and Grandma won't be around much longer anyway. Wouldn't it be better if I inherited everything? Huh? I couldn't believe my ears. Oh. I wanted to use that inheritance to go to more of Raymond's concerts. What are you saying? Taylor just passed away, your dad just died. And all you can think about is Raymond. Don't you have any respect for the deceased? I couldn't take it anymore. Does this child lack all compassion? Then, Nova dismissively said, "You're so annoying." That word made me pause. I did love Dad, you know? He always listened to me and gave me money. But he's gone now, so it can't be helped. His left behind money is more important. And you're the same, right? Couldn't get married at a good age, so you settled for a dad with some money, even though he had a stepchild. You guys were only married for a few years, and I don't need someone pretending to be mom and acting all high and mighty lecturing me. I listened in shock to the harsh words thrown at me. Unbelievable. What is this child saying? Anger began to bubble up within me, and my body started to shake. How could you say such things? Do you not understand how much Taylor cared for you as he raised you? I can't believe I have a daughter like you. I managed to squeeze out those words, and Nova muttered, "So annoying," before throwing a parting shot. Then I'll stop being your daughter. Bye-bye, fake mom. With that, Nova left swiftly. This was Nova's true nature. She had no compassion for others. Focused on her idol despite just losing her dad. It was frightening to think she might not have any human feelings. Nova's actions afterward were even worse. She spread rumors among Taylor's relatives about how terrible a stepmother I was. The relatives unanimously took Nova's side. Such a terrible wife. Poor Nova, they said. I desperately tried to clear the misunderstanding, but since Taylor's relatives had been close to Nova since she was born, and I was the lesser-known stepmother. And so most of them sided with Nova. Thus, Nova was seen as the poor girl who lost her mom and then her dad, and on top of that, was mistreated by her stepmother. As a result, Nova went to live with Taylor's sister and her husband. Both Taylor and Nova left me. I was isolated in a large condo, alone. After the tumultuous days passed, I was utterly exhausted. Both my body and spirit were worn out. Yet, I had to keep working. Actually, working was better as it kept me from thinking too much. I had always worked from home, but fortunately, I had been getting more meetings outside lately. I decided to actively take on more work. I had scaled back a bit after getting married, but now I was single again. I resolved to accept more work. I reverted to being the workaholic I once was. Then, one day, my phone vibrated violently. A glance at the screen showed it was a call from Nova. That's right, today was the airing day. She must have seen it on TV and called in a panic. I understood but chose to ignore the call. Yet, the ringing did not stop. After a while, the phone's light flashed. It seemed she had left a voicemail. After some time, I played the message. Immediately, Nova's yelling blared at high volume, making me instinctively pull the phone away from my ear. Hey! What's going on? Why are you on TV with Raymond? Answer me! I sighed and deleted the voicemail. I am a screenwriter. I work from home, and my original script was being turned into a TV drama. That's why I was appearing on a TV information show for promotion. At that time, the person I was having a discussion with on the show was Nova's admired idol, Raymond. It seemed to be Raymond's first appearance in a drama. And he was the lead, which had increased the attention on him. A special feature on Raymond was arranged, and as one of the drama staff, I was invited to the program. The conversation mostly revolved around behind-the-scenes stories of the production. Raymond struck me as a polite young man. He was very proper in his greetings and left a very good impression. It's truly unfortunate to have a fan like Nova among his audience. Nova, having seen the broadcast, persistently called me. She must have been wanting to ask what was going on. I had told Nova about my profession, but she hardly listened, always engrossed in videos. She probably only saw me as just a housewife who's always at home. But now, that doesn't matter anymore. I knew it would cause a fuss if she found out I was working with Raymond. I have no obligation to explain anything to Nova, who has ignored and insulted me so much before. Ignoring her resulted in many messages coming in, which I, of course, threw away without reading a single one. It's ironic how she suddenly clings to me for communication, having never tried to communicate before. Knowing Nova's true nature now, I decided I no longer wanted anything to do with her. A few days passed, and the persistent calls from Nova stopped. She must have realized I wouldn't respond. I felt relieved. With work winding down, I thought it'd be nice to relax with my favorite tea. As I was getting a mug ready in the kitchen, the doorbell rang loudly. It gave me a bad feeling. I quickly peeked through the door viewer. To my surprise, Nova was standing there. Her eyes burning with anger, a terrifying expression on her face.
I know you're there. Come out. Why are you leaving me out, talking to Raymond?
Of course, I wouldn't go out. But her vile words continued for a while.
Hey, answer me.
Nova hurled filthy insults and banged on the door violently. Eventually, her words even began to attack my character. Unbearable to listen to, and worrying about causing trouble for the neighbors. I clutched my phone and called the police. Soon after, the sound of a police siren echoed nearby. Hearing that, Nova clicked her tongue and quickly left. Her ability to flee was, as always, swift. Later, I explained the situation to the arriving police officers. The police said they would patrol around my house for a while. So I should be safe for some time. But if I'm still being loitered around, I might have to consider moving or staying in a monthly apartment temporarily. However, my priority right now is the drama script. I want to focus on this job until it's completed. That's right. I had been uncertain about the final twist. But suddenly, it came to me. I booted up my computer and started typing quickly. Time passed. Fortunately, Nova hadn't come to my house since then. She must have given up. Thanks to that, I was able to focus on my work, and the script was completed successfully. Today, I was supposed to visit the filming site of the drama. The climax was being shot at a park in the suburbs. After briefly greeting the production staff, I decided to watch the filming from the back. The actors seemed to be in good spirits as they got off the location bus. But Raymond, the lead actor, seemed to be lacking his usual energy. He appeared to be somewhat downcast. Was something wrong? Despite my concerns, the filming went on smoothly. This scene required extras, so there was a crowd waiting at a corner of the park. Suddenly, the area became noisy.
Someone stop that woman!
A shout was heard, and a woman emerged from the crowd. She made her way to where Raymond and the others were gathered, panting.
Raymond! I've finally found you!
Shockingly, it was Nova. Raymond looked perplexed at the sight of Nova, who was wearing flashy makeup and smiling.
Why did you talk to that old lady but not to me? I attend every live show. I buy so much of your merchandise. Why won't you say anything to me after I've spent so much money?
Nova was ranting nonsensically. In the next moment, security guards restrained her. The drama's production staff hurriedly moved Raymond away.
Are you okay?
Yeah. Raymond, looking pale, moved to the back with the other actors. I heard the staff gossiping. Raymond has been dealing with a stalker recently. A fan has been following him around a lot. I heard that too. She's been lurking around his house and following him on his days off.
Really? Is that girl the one? Eager fans can be really scary. That's why Raymond hasn't been his usual self lately.
Hearing this, I felt a chill run down my spine. Given Nova's recent behavior, I had a premonition she might do something drastic. The relentless calls to me, the verbal abuse when she came to my house. If she directed that obsession toward Raymond. Nova's love had twisted into stalking, tormenting Raymond without any hope of reciprocation. Her excessive attachment had distressed and cornered him. But of course, Raymond would never return Nova's feelings. Unable to hold back any longer, Nova had sneaked in as an extra to infiltrate the drama set. To take such actions. Beyond disgust, I even felt pity for her. I stepped forward and approached Nova. It was you, then. You. Why are you cozying up to Raymond? Raymond's place is next to Nova. I won't forgive you if you interfere. Even while being restrained by the security guards, Nova glared at me with a sharp look. I spoke to her calmly.
Hey, how long are you going to do this? Are you not aware of how you're hurting the people around you, obsessed only with your own desires?
Huh? Raymond is everything to me.
I don't care about anything else. Don't get in my way, old lady. Enough!
My words caused a moment of silence.
Who would love someone who only thinks of themselves, with no compassion for others? Me not being loved? That's impossible. Take that back.
With that, Nova started thrashing violently. She looked as if she might lash out at any moment. I sighed.
So you don't understand, no matter what I say. You're the worst kind of person, unable to comprehend others' feelings. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Now and forever.
After my words, Nova let out an inarticulate scream. In the middle of the park, people watched from a distance as Nova let out bizarre screams. Not a single person looked at Nova with pity. Instead, many seemed to view her with disdain. Even Raymond, upon seeing Nova, appeared utterly dismayed. Being looked at with such disappointment by the idol she adored must have been a lifelong scar for Nova. Soon after, the police arrived. Likely called by someone. Nova was arrested on the spot for stalking. She was quickly put into a patrol car and taken away. Even after the police car left, the scene remained chaotic for a while. Seeing Raymond, I couldn't help but approach him. I'm so sorry, Mr. Thompson. That girl is the stepchild of my late husband. I don't know what to say for causing such trouble. Raymond made a complicated face, but looked me in the eyes and spoke clearly. Mrs. Martin, please don't apologize. In this line of work, it's not uncommon to encounter fans who go too far. But not all fans are like that. There are many who support me, and for them, I refuse to give up. Let's make sure to complete this drama, no matter what. Right, I had been so preoccupied with Nova that I forgot what was truly important. For the fans who love this drama, our job is to do our work well. Yes, you're right. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. With that, Raymond and I smiled. Filming continued. This drama actually revolves around a protagonist, played by Raymond, who is troubled by a stalker ex-girlfriend. The climax involves a confrontation with the stalker, inspired by Nova's episode, which I expanded upon in the story. Raymond, portraying the protagonist, lecturing the female stalker. It mirrored what I had said to Nova earlier. If Nova watched the drama, she might feel as if Raymond, whom she loves, was rebuking her actions. I hoped she would truly reflect on her actions. I couldn't help but to pray. Following her arrest, Nova, still a minor, was sent to a juvenile detention center, leading to her dropping out of high school. The relatives who had supported Nova changed their stance after learning the truth. I can't believe Nova was so malicious. We're sorry, Ingrid. We misunderstood you. They apologized repeatedly. It was sad to be condemned, but they eventually understood. I felt a weight lifted from my chest, and my heart lightened. Taylor's sister and her husband eventually kicked Nova out after she returned from the detention center. Nova ended up working in a nightclub with accommodation. This time, she's infatuated with a host. It seems she's in debt on a level incomparable to when she was chasing after Raymond. I heard she's borrowing money from dubious lenders. I was disheartened. She must have watched the drama. Raymond's lecture didn't seem to resonate with Nova, passing her by. Nova seems to have a nature that can't live without depending on something. Losing her mom at a young age might be a factor, but her behavior only escalated, ignoring any advice. Eventually, she indulged in criminal behavior to fulfill her desires, getting arrested. Yet, her habit of dependency seems unchanged. It appears there's no hope for recovery. She's likely to spend her life unable to escape from the mire of her desires. The other day, while walking through town, I happened to see Nova returning home in the morning. She appeared to be drunk, her makeup a mess, presenting a terrifying visage. Moreover, she was muttering to herself,
Why won't you look at me? After all I've done for you."
Her eerie appearance made people around her instinctively avoid her. At this point, she probably can't stop herself anymore. An uncontrollable monster. That thought crossed my mind. All I can do now is to ensure I never get involved with Nova again. That's about all I can manage. Meanwhile, I've been busy. The drama was a success, with good ratings, strong DVD sales, and high streaming numbers. It remains popular even after ending, with talks of a second season and a movie adaptation already underway. As someone involved in the drama's production, I couldn't be happier. Raymond, too, seems to have recovered his spirits. He had been troubled by the stalker, Nova, but now appears to have completely moved on. His acting in that drama was well received, and he's since been appearing in various dramas and movies. His career is flourishing, and his popularity is on the rise. New jobs have been coming my way one after another, and I'm thrilled, almost overwhelmed. My days have been more fulfilling than I could have imagined a while ago. In exchange, my personal life has become solitary, but I don't feel lonely. No matter what happens, my work supports me. Thinking this way, my motivation surges. Today, I'll write my story again. I opened the window to let in the sunlight, and I find myself smiling.